Airglue Media and the Cantina Cast are proud to present Mando Monday. Hello, everybody, and how are you doing? Welcome to Mando Monday. I am your host, Mike Rondo, and I hope you're having a lovely Mando Monday. I have to apologize. Well, I got two apologies, actually, today. One, my setup's a little different because I had problems getting onto my desktop computer, and now I'm on my laptop with the Rodecaster Pro, and things are all sort of out of whack. So hopefully there's not too many hiccups in this episode. So first things first, we got to do a little cleanup as we always do from the previous episode. And this one goes out to Mr. Doomsday on Instagram, who I apparently upset because I mispronounced Gina Carano and I forgot Sigourney Weaver was the actress that I was trying to remember off the top of my head from Ghostbusters. I remember growing up watching Sigourney Weaver in just about everything in the 80s because she was in just about everything in the 80s from what I recall. So I do apologize, Mr. Doomsday. So hopefully you survived that debacle and you've joined us today on Mando Monday. So, but let's get into this. Well, just before I get into those things, I just want to say the reason why those flubs happen is a little insider thing on the podcaster side of things is when you're doing this alone and you're talking to yourself, which is a hard thing because I don't really like talking to myself. At least I don't like to talk to myself and record myself. When you're trying to gather your thoughts, look at the time and the recording and all that other stuff and looking at your notes, you tend to, your brain and your mouth don't always sync up. So that's what happened there, and it happens. So, Mr. Doomsday, I hope you're all right, because I'm all right. But anyway, let's get into the good, the bad, and the ugly. I got a lot of good in this one, so we're just going to get right into it. The thing I loved the most about this was that it was a more adult theme, at least in regards to all the previous episodes. This was the most adult of everything. I like the swearing, sort of, and I'll get into more of that with the bad. The droid using the organics thing, I like that whole dynamic there where he's just calling humans organics or any sentient being organics. I thought that was pretty funny because we don't often see, at least on the big screen or even the small screen, the droids really picking on organics, so to speak, right? We usually see the humans picking on the droids, so this was a nice little touch. We also got a glimpse of the New Republic and how those things are going. Obviously, they did, I think it was Aftermath. I want to say it was Aftermath, the first novel, where they were talking with Mon Mothma. And we had a debate on the Cantina Cast that this was a mistake by Mon Mothma, where she demilitarized or cut like 90% of the military, and then they went to droids, it seems, because that's what they're using on this ship here. So that's pretty interesting that they kind of went the separatist way where the droids are kind of running things and not so much people. So that's a little interesting dynamic. So we got a little bit of world building there, which I thought was pretty cool. The other thing I thought was great, which I kind of complained I think it was in the bad that I mentioned this, is Baby Yoda wasn't involved all that much, but he was used perfectly when he needed to be used. And I thought that was great because I got to say, Baby Yoda's kind of wearing thin now. And I know some people disagree with me and say, no, he's part of the show or whatever. But, this can only go on for so long, as I've said. But I'm not going to get into the ugly here or the bad. So the other thing I liked was Zero's movements. I thought for a droid, he moved, or however they did it, he moved really awesome. I don't know. It was very fluid, yet robotic. It was a little different than Anthony Daniels and what he does. So I thought that was pretty cool. I don't know. I hope we won't see Zero again, but I hope we see something like that again, or at least his type of droid. I thought that was a great look. And the other thing I liked was the fact that we weren't meant to like this group from the start. Like as soon as you get in there, it's like when I used to go to the bars back in the day, and I'd walk into a shady bar or a dive bar, and you'd walk in and you're like, yeah, this is going to go sideways at some point, and the people here aren't exactly the most pleasant of people, so to speak. So I did like that aspect of it. And the other thing I thought was pretty cool is that they kind of poked fun of themselves, with the Gungans and all that stuff. And of course, the girl Xi'an mentioning, this is the way, and kind of poking fun of things and stuff like that. So I thought that was awesome that, they were able to poke fun of themselves in a good way. It wasn't done in a sarcastic way. I thought it was done in a very fun way. And I also enjoyed the Mando Myers, as I like to call him, when he was in the hallway there, stalking everybody, and the alien predator kind of connection. I kind of like all three. It had a very horror film, slasher film kind of vibe to it, a little bit of Stranger Things with the red lights. That's what my daughter said anyway. The Mexican standoff that happened in the control room made me think of Reservoir Dogs. When I was on the film appraisals, we talked about that. So that was really cool. The other thing was the double cross, Mando getting pushed into his cell. I did think for a moment that he was going to get stuck and they were going to take off and bring the trial to Griff for a moment, only because I go back to, and it keeps tripping me up, is the trailer that we had where the Mando looks like he's landing and Griff is there looking at the ship with his other minions there. So I thought that was pretty cool. And the other thing I liked was another double cross was Quinn leaving his sister there. Xi'an, I believe her name is. So glad we're getting these double cross, shady things in the galaxy, because you would expect that amongst bounty hunters, mercenaries, criminals and stuff. I thought that was pretty cool. So I'm glad we're getting that. It was something I was a little worried about. And I also thought this, again, it was adult themed, and it was kind of... brutal in some of the fighting. I mean, granted, it was against droids and everything. So, and of course, the knife from Xi'an throwing the knife at the New Republic guard or officer, whatever you want to call, that was interesting. I didn't think they would go there. See, there are moments. I know some people complain that, it's not, because it's Disney and stuff. There are moments that are dark for what it is. So, that's pretty cool. The other thing I thought was cool is Baby Yoda knowing he needed to tap into the Force, and then thinking that he did it, which is something we've seen before. I believe, I can't remember if it was in Rebels, Clone Wars or something, but even other movies where you've seen the kid think they're going to shoot the bad guy, and it turns out to be the father or the mother or whoever it may be, the hero that takes out the bad guy, and it wasn't really the corrupt, they weren't, it wasn't the child that was doing it. So that was pretty cool. All right, so now we're going to get into the bad. And there's a little bit. I got 9 points here that are bad. The name Mayfield, that didn't work for me. I thought that was a little out of place for some reason. And you could disagree. That's fine. It doesn't really, at the end of the day, this is nitpicking as well. The use of wise ass. Now, I thought I like the swearing. Well, it's not really swearing, but I thought it was good. But I don't know. It just seemed too earthly, if you will. I guess the wise ass thing, but I guess it makes sense, like the whole "I'll see you in hell" type of stuff. So I don't know. It's nitpicking. It was. To be honest, it surprised me that they even did it. So I was kind of happy with that. So anyway, the Twi'leks, I didn't like the look too much. It seemed like a bad Cars play at some points, and the fangs, I don't know. It was too being the vampire thing, but they were going for that whole horror kind of slasher film type thing. So that's that. It is what it is. And the Mandalorian, this is just a personal thing. He needs to get a lock for the gun safe, because this is getting out of hand with people just opening it up and getting looking at his guns. So he needs to go to like Space Lowe's and get a lock. It's not hard. I mean, he can do it. So I'm not sure why everyone can just push those buttons and they get in there. Shouldn't there be a code or something? I don't know. So anyway, let's get into see what else I have here. I'm not sure why the droids, when they encountered the droids, why the droids didn't send that distress signal right away when they knew there was trouble, like with the mouse droid. I don't know how they didn't send the signal, or how the guard himself didn't send that signal out right then and there when there was trouble. It would have saved a whole lot of things. But then again, it's a show and we kind of need drama, right? So I guess it's a nitpick. The other thing is, how did he lock them all up? I don't understand how you could lock them all up within, what would he have, 10 minutes at that point? So I guess he works very efficiently, I have to say, with his time. It reminded me again of last week's episode when Pelly was playing cards and he went to the cantina and all that other stuff. But in any case, the other thing is, and I know a lot of people have said this the last 2 episodes, or last 3, is this is like a filler episode. Now, I don't see it as that. I see a lot of these episodes that we would normally call a filler episode as a setup episode, because I think, obviously with him leaving them in the prison, that sets up something for later on. The mysterious person at the end of the last week's episode sets up for something, and then of course the widower that he left behind. So I think that's the thing. It's just a it's a setup. So anyway, the other thing I didn't like was the slam on Berg, like the door slamming. How did he live through that? I mean, obviously he passed out, but what happened? How did that? I don't know. That just seemed very weird. It's like, I don't know. I mean, it was cool. Don't get me wrong. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, so let's get into the ugly. Now, the ugly isn't too bad. It concerns me with Mando's inconsistency with being a ruthless killer, and now he's kind of a softie. And I understand we're getting that way because of Baby Yoda and everything and all that stuff. But prior to this, I don't think we got enough of him being the cold-hearted warrior. As, Zion says, Zion or Gian, I'm sorry. This is a detail that she mentioned. She's like, you enjoyed doing what you were doing, and now you've become a softie. So, I don't know. So, and again, the tracking thing, it kind of muddies things. I didn't have, like, the signal was out and all that stuff, and I don't know. Those tracking things I have an issue. But anyway, so let's move on to the Mandalorian Easter eggs and the lore. We didn't get too much for lore because, well, it wasn't that type of episode really where we were going to get lore. But the only one that we did get was the Purge reference, Great Warriors, and the helmet not being taken off. So we got more of confirmation of that. Sadly, we didn't get the flashbacks, which I think we're going to get soon. I imagine the next 2 episodes, we're going to get the conclusion of those flashbacks. So the Easter eggs that I'm going to just focus on, there's a million videos on YouTube that show you all the Easter eggs and everything else. The New Republic symbol on the droids, that's something I noticed, which was pretty cool. The laser bolt bouncing off the cell, like the trash compactor. And again, as I mentioned, the Aliens, Predator, Michael Myers vibes that we got and the space horror vibe that we got. That was pretty cool. The gunship itself reminded me of Grievous's ship, and I know Albert posted that early morning on Friday that it looked like Grievous's ship, but somebody said it looked like a Nubian ship as well, kind of like a combination of the two. So, yeah, I kind of think that's pretty cool. So, obviously, the big thing, and I'm only going to mention these cameos, was Rick, Deborah, and Dave Filoni appearing as the X-Wing pilots at the end, all 3 directors and writers. I believe Rick wrote one of these episodes. We might have wrote this one. I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and look. So that was pretty cool to see. And of course, Matt Lanter, being the station, I guess, guard or officer, whatever he was doing there. My question is, do we see Rick, Deb, and Dave in The Rise of Skywalker as a cameo? If all those ships are showing up there, you think, well, maybe we'll see that showing up. So anyway, with the other thing that my daughter pointed out was the station looked like the medical stations in the Clone Wars, although it wasn't, obviously, but it looked like that. And it did remind me of that at first. So that's pretty cool. All right, so let's get into our character intel this week with the Mando. He still shows no panic. I thought that was pretty cool. When he's going against Berg there, he still shows nothing. It's like he doesn't shake. He's very like the Predator. He doesn't have a problem with anything there. He just kind of like, whatever. As Berg is doing his little thing and showing off, he seems to be calculating, and he knows he's going to be double crossed, which I like. So, and then especially when the ex-lover shows up in front of him and, puts the blade on him, he doesn't even blink an eye and says, "Nice to see you too." The other thing that still kind of is a little troubling to me is the droid hatred. Is a little inconsistency. Like one, he's tolerating him. The next, he goes on a Rambo kill rage thing with all the droids in the New Republic prison ship. So I don't know. Is it me nitpicking? Yeah. Again, I think all these things I'm nitpicking at the end of the day, and I keep repeating myself with that. He is honorable. He seems to, he was going to get paid, which is what he wants. So that was always good. But again, he seemed ruthless in the past, but now we're seeing this softer side where he wasn't going to kill the guard, which I don't blame him, because what was the honor in that? And Mandos are all about honor, I think. So that wasn't going to be a clean kill, as he said about the Mudhorn, right? So why would we do that? We weren't here for him, so why are we going to do this? So I think that's pretty cool. He has some honor, unlike his other cohorts there. They don't. He always seems to be planning for a situation. As my daughter said, he always has a backup. He's the Mandalorian. That's what he does. And he adapts on the fly. So he picks up the tracker, as we knew that was kind of foreshadowing and stuff. So that was pretty cool. Now let's get into these secondary characters. Ran, my first impression with him was, can't trust this dude. You could just tell by the way they were talking that there's going to be a double cross at some point. And I liked what he said. You know me, Mando. I don't trust anyone, which is something I can relate to very much so. I don't trust many people. Mayfield, not as dangerous as he plays. He's hesitant to jump in the ship first, which I thought was interesting because you'd think he's playing this big, baddie or whatever. Of course, he was a sharpshooter, and sharpshooters tend to be off at a distance and pick people off. So maybe this has something to do with that. I'm not sure. But other than that, I liked his character, and I hope we see him in the future. Bill Burr did a great job. It just fit very well. Other than his name, didn't do much for me, the name. Berg himself, typical muscle man. He's no Discord He-Man like Joe. Joe at least has some substance to him. Berg was kind of just predictable, and of course he was going to be unlikable and stuff. But the one thing we did pick up is the Deveronians are flame resistant, I guess you could say. That doesn't bother them, and obviously they're strong. They got a thick hide, I guess you could say. But anyway, we'll move on to Zero, which not much to say other than he's like a cross between K2 and 000 from the comics. And I liked his character. He's probably one of the highlights for me. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see him do anything else because he was, there, and we're not going to see him again. Kind of like IG-11, kind of one and done, and that's it. And which is what I like about the show is like we see these characters that we think are going to be around, and then they're not around. So it's kind of what The Walking Dead in the comics used to be, where they just kill off, even main characters. No one's really safe type of thing. And Xian, I believe it is. So this name I'm gonna butcher. So I'm sorry, Mr. Doomsday. Please don't hold it against me. I wasn't a fan of her look, but I did like that she was unpredictable and she killed the officer right because I wasn't expecting that. I figured, they'll do something, maybe cuff him or something like that. I thought that was great that she was like, all right, boom, and that's it. And the end of that. Quinn, not a fan. He served his purpose. And I like that he abandoned his own flesh and blood. I thought that was great. He's all about self-preservation. Reminded me of Han Solo back in the day in the cantina scene where he's preserving himself, which I thought was great. So that's all I get to say on the characters. I thought that overall that was good. So let's get into the speculation. Now, I just want to say, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that the Mando kills Zero, right? Before he's going to get Baby Yoda, before he shoots Baby Yoda. And is this foreshadowing to what we'll see in the flashback? It's very similar, like the droid opens the door where he is. Our little friend's there, and he doesn't know what to make of it. And, all of a sudden, boom, he's dead. So are we going to see another Mandalorian do this? So I got two options. I think it's either going to be another Mandalorian that kind of saves the day, and that's why he gets taken in by the Mandos. Maybe it's Bo-Katan. That would be pretty cool. Or is this going to be Yoda, which makes the connection even more with the child and why he's even more soft or whatnot? I don't know. It's just something to think about as we get closer to these last two episodes. And the other thing I wanted to point out is food for thought here. I think the group knew of the child and were planning to getting him for the reward, and they were going to take off. Or at least Mayfield and Rand probably knew. Rand probably knew that. All right, so we're going to push Mando in there. He's going to be captured. We'll get a little payback for what he did to Quinn and all that stuff, and we'll go bring the child and we'll get that reward because it's a big reward, right? So we'll do that as well. So that's that. That's all I really have for speculation. The other thing is, why did the Mandalorian not kill the group here? I mean, obviously he killed Quinn and Rand, right? He took it out on them. I guess those were the biggest threats, right? So he sent the ships in. So indirectly he killed them. But he could have killed these characters, Mayfield, Xian, and Berg there, but he kept them alive. So I'm going to assume we're going to see these people or characters at a later date, which wouldn't be bad because Mayfield is an interesting character. I'd like to see him again. So hopefully we get that. So let's get into the wrap up here. We have 2 episodes left, which is crazy to think that the season went by this quick. So my question to all of you is Chapter 7 is coming out this Wednesday. Should I release it this Wednesday or should I wait and just do it on Monday? My problem here is I'm afraid it's going to get lost in the shuffle with The Rise of Skywalker coming out and all that stuff. So I don't know. What should I stick to my guns or should I let this out as soon as possible? So that's that. Be sure to check out Albert and Jonesy. They're releasing an episode, I believe tomorrow. They're going to do the prediction show, and then it's silence till we see The Rise of Skywalker, and we'll have a show out on that Friday, I believe, that they're going to get, because Albert's going to watch it twice, Friday, Thursday night. So he's going to be very tired. So then we're going to get together and they're going to record, and I'm going to edit and get that out as soon as possible. So there's a lot of content out there. We have Mando Monday last week. Then we had a guest come on. We had Michaela come on 303, and then we did 304 with the prediction thing. Oh, and then we did two not prediction shows, but preview shows last week. So we got a lot of content for you guys to digest before we go see The Rise of Skywalker and even The Mandalorian, Chapter 7 and 8. So that's it for today. And I will see you guys either Wednesday or Thursday morning. Maybe I'll release it. Who the heck knows? But I hope you guys have fun, and I'll see you guys soon. This podcast is not endorsed or affiliated with Lucasfilm, Star Wars, Disney, or Disney Plus, and is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. All names, sound, music, and any other copyrighted material are held by their respective trademarks and copyright holders in the U.S. and abroad. I have spoken.